Welcome. I'm Dr. K, and I'm here to help you to navigate through the many challenges in your life's journey so that you might ultimately become the highest version of yourself. Right now, I'm going to talk to you about our mind. Think about the mind as a garden with very fertile soil. Now, what kind of stuff do you have planted in your garden? Because anything that we plant in our garden is going to grow. Now, a lot of us have nice, healthy plants, which would be our positive, productive belief systems and behaviors. And then a lot of us have weeds, which would be the stinking thinking and the negative, unproductive behaviors. Because remember, the brain is wired 95% for habit. So with the weeds, we want to get rid of all the weeds that we can because the weeds have a tendency to choke off all the life force from the positive stuff. You might have some good stuff going on in your life. You're moving in the right direction. And then that stinking thinking pop in and then you focus on it. And now you starting to choke off that right direction that you were moving in. You're starting to choke off the passion and desire and energy that you had to move forward in your dreams and goals. Because see, that stinking thinking will be something like, I don't know how to do this, or I can't do that, or this is too hard, right? And so all of that will deplete your energy and stop you from moving productively in the right direction. So let's talk about how to get rid of those weeds. You get rid of them by not giving them the water and sunshine that they need to grow. When a thought pops in and you focus on it, you've just planted it in the garden of your mind. Every time you focus on it from that point on, your attention to it gives it the water and sunshine that it needs to grow. You actually nurture it, whether it's something positive with that thought seed or whether it's something negative. Your attention to it, every time you focus on it, you're giving it the energy that it needs to grow. So with the weeds, we want to deactivate them. So how do we deactivate the weeds? Of course, by not giving them the water and sunshine that they need to grow, by not giving them our attention. So how can we do that? Because see, none of us can control what thoughts pop into our mind. But what we can control is what we do with those thoughts. So say a thought pops in and it's thinking. You check it out and acknowledge, oh, this is a destructive or negative thought. So rather than focusing on it, you turn away and focus on a different thought. Now remember, thoughts are thought seeds. So let's come up with a mantra. Or it could even be your affirmation relative to whatever the stinking thinking is. So say, for example, the stinking thinking pops in and it says, I can't do this. Rather than focusing on it, what you do is once you recognize that is there, you turn the other way and you consciously make yourself focus on your mantra or your affirmation, which might be, I can do this. All I have to do is learn about it. So now say if that's the first time you've ever focused on that mantra or affirmation, that was a thought seed that when you focused on it, you planted that in the garden of your mind. So it's important to give it attention now because remember that your attention to it is the water and the sunshine that it needs to grow. Now, I would recommend that you write it down and focus on it at least twice a day. And in addition to that, I want you to focus on it every time this thinking pops in that says you can't do that. So it'll go something like this. The thought will pop in, the thinking because you probably already got a habit of it, that you can't do something. So you recognize like, oh, I see you. Don't focus on it. Instead, make yourself focus over here on, I can do this. I can learn this. And now what you're doing is you're giving the seed that you've already planted the water and the sunshine that it needs to grow. So the thinking over here, every time it pops up, it's actually going to be the catalyst. It's going to help you to grow this seed that you planted over here. Because remember, when it pops in, when you recognize it, you're going to consciously make yourself focus on your mantra that you can do it. You just need to learn. So now what's going to happen over time as you deny this thinking your attention is it's going to start to die down. Because remember, it's a weed and it needs your attention to it to grow. So because you haven't been paying attention to it, you've been making yourself focus over here. What's happening is it's going to die down. And how will you know it? You'll know it because it will pop into your head with a decrease in frequency. Before, it used to be a regular habit where it was popping in all the time. I can't do this. I can't figure this out. And you focused on it. So it's a habit. It's always there, constantly going into your head. But now, because you're working your new program of focusing on your mantra, your affirmation, that seed that you planted in the garden of your mind is going to be positive and productive for you. You're deactivating this one by not giving it the attention. So it'll still pop in, decrease in frequency, like boop. But every time it pops in, bam, it makes you focus over here on your positive, productive mantra. And it'll pop in again, boop. But that's all right. You're not focusing on it. You're focusing over here. And as you can guess, over time, just like a regular plant or weed, when you don't give it the water and the sunshine that it needs to grow, it starts to die out even more until eventually it's gone altogether. So what you just have to do is stay on your plan of nurturing your mantra or your affirmation, whatever that positive, productive seed is that you planted. You just have to continuously focus on that. And like I said, you want to write it down and focus on it at least twice a day because you want to rewire that belief system into your brain about how you can do something, how you can figure it out. And then also, you want to make sure that you practice it on a regular basis whenever the stinking thinking comes in. Always remember that none of us can control what thoughts come into our head, but we can control what we do with it. We can control whether we're going to focus on it and energize it, or whether we are going to recognize it and turn away and consciously make ourselves focus on the thoughts and belief systems that are taking our life in the direction that we want it to go in. So I recommend, again, continue to practice. Repetition is the key, because with the repetition of focusing on something, you're going to rewire that into your brain. And what we're working on is rewiring our brain so that we can become the highest version of ourselves. We cannot become the highest version of ourselves if we continuously focus on this thinking, if we continuously engage in our negative or unproductive behaviors. That's just only going to keep us where we are. We know that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So it's time to do something different if you want to grow. It's time to let go of those unproductive belief systems, wherever they came from, if they're not taking you where you want to go. It's time to let go of the unproductive behaviors if they're not going to take you where you want to go. It's your time now to start taking control of what you're doing with your brain. Remember that your mind is like a garden full of fertile soil. Whatever you plant in there will grow as long as you continue to pay attention to it. Take control of your life and make sure that you de-weed your garden and plant seeds in there that are so powerful and productive that once you start nurturing them, it's going to make your soul sing. Work on yourself. Repetition is the key. Rewire your brain.